So who's the loon now? Is my question. I was hoping I wouldn't live long enough to see it, but
To
I guess I'm
see.
supposed to cover it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
it's
here I am.
manifesting in the physical. So let me get this clear. So the 2030s based off what Old Testament laws and stuff, because the stuff that they're saying, I can't correlate that to the Bible.
Well, listen, these people pick and choose.
Yes,
Cherry
exactly.
pick the Bible to whatever it
Yes.
is that suits them.
Yes,
Okay.
of course, because
First of all,
these
second of all, I believe the Bible was is a man-made book for man's created God in his own vicious image. Certainly a woman-hating Bible. You'd have to go back to Constantine to understand that out of over 300 and I don't know 66 books, he got to handpick the 66 that would go in the Bible.
the canonized version, yeah.
Right. So, and I don't buy it. There's no dates in the Bible. The people they get insulted when I tell them there were no white people in the Bible. Yet everybody seems to have a white person's name. Okay.
Uh,
Uh, it's such BS. And yet people that are guilty, people that have no self-control, people that think weird and crazy thoughts, they need to believe because it's the only restriction on their life that keeps them in place.
and some people need that. They need
Exactly.
a a guiding force externally or a manuscript to follow. Um, I'm sure I've had.
Absolutely. Listen, I know alcoholics that had to find God.
Mhm.
Okay. And without that fear of God, like, here in the States, they have, AA meetings, which is
Yeah,
all about the higher power.
yes.
So it gives them the guilt that if they drink, it's going to matter somehow to their God, and the fear to stay sober. And luckily, there are a lot of other sober groups you can go to that don't bring in the God factor. And I've covered that on my show with a man who actually runs, a non-God sober group. Um, but religion is a have for the have-nots. And Napoleon Bonaparte said man had to invent religion
Hmm.
or the poor would kill the rich.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So we
Religion
have the two biggest controls on the planet is religion and politics.
to restrain, to bind, and to hold back, root of religion. Um, you do believe
And
in a,
keep people fighting each other instead
of
of taking the
course,
fight where it belongs to the top
yes.
10%.
A 10. I would reduce that number down even further.
Well, you could go with the one. We
Yeah.
started our conversation talking about the monarchy.
Mm,
Looking at the monarchy as an American, from the American point of view, I find them all useless. They talk about useless feeders.
yeah.
And you have so much starvation and poverty going on in your country right now, just like we
Yes.
do here.
Hmm.
And what did he just give himself? I forget the figure of the raise that Prince Charles just gave himself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And these people are draped in gold. They have the best of everything. And I
Yeah.
mean, really, what's their function? To me, they're just the Kardashian family of the UK.
It's something like that. Something like that. But he's now championing this climate ch was the climate change thing. I mean, these people are putting all of these things in place, putting bags over livestock to stop their farts from entering the atmosphere,
Right.
killing them, telling
Right.
farmers not to produce to save the CO2, but yet they can fly around on private jets to have meetings to talk about with, with
Oh,
all
yeah.
with all due respect, we need more money spent on this than all of the governments put together, GDP and all of the corporations, so we can tackle climate change. These are maniacal, wicked space monkeys. I have no idea.
Space monkeys. Listen, I call them demons. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
If you want to look at it on a spiritual level, these are very dark souls that are inhabiting human bodies.
exactly.
And their goal is to destroy the human soul.
Because
And
they
they're
have that
doing
one.
a good job.
Because
You know.
they lack that. That's the
All right,
difference.
they give the humans what they think they want, whether it's football, whether it's the entertainment, movies,
Yeah.
drugs, whatever.
Hmm.
But their goal is to take over the planet. And as you could see, this planet is set to negative energy. The
It's
only ray of light that has hit America is right now Kamala Harris. Why? Because Americans like a woman that smiles, that knows how to dance, that's fun, that wants to bring some joy in, that isn't saying America is in a downfall, like Trump is constantly telling us how terrible our country is, and we're supposed to be happy about that. Even late night comedy hosts. I've watched Stephen Colbert for years. And I could see, even making jokes about Trump, that it's still, the pain we've all been under such stress with this guy for 10 years now.
hmm
But when Kamala announced, it was the first time I actually saw the man dance on his show, and he's danced 3 nights in a row. It just feels like we got a breather. Okay. Whether it'll last or not doesn't matter. We got a breather.
But this almost seems like, and I heard on the news today a report about Michelle and Barack doing some kind of video call or some telephone call endorsing.
Yes, I actually saw it. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So it's like Barack, you know, very intelligent, excellent speaker, etc., etc. One of the big things for me in regards to his role as president is him bombing more African countries than any other president has. What are we doing? And he's supposed to be Kenyan. He's got
Well, here's the deal. You have to understand the number one export of
military,
America
mm,
is military.
military arms. Yes.
Okay. President Eisenhower, who I remember, okay, because I don't know, I was in elementary school, I guess, when he was president. He warned against the military industrial
Yes,
complex.
he certainly
And
did.
they did take a part out of his speech, which was an excellent speech, by the way, where he also warned about consolidation of the press.
Yes.
And they took that out of the speech. So everything he warned us against is what we're living in now. It was also a big part of why Kennedy was assassinated.
What do you
He
think?
didn't want to give Israel nuclear weapons. He didn't want war. I remember his speech. That it's all one planet. We all breathe the same air.
Exactly. This
Nobody wanted that in office. He was against the military industrial complex. He was against tax breaks for these corporations and big oil.
Yeah.
Uh, the list goes on and on and on.
And wasn't
And
Herbert Walker
you move from then to now, it's the same people behind the scenes. Whether it's their sons or daughters or the same factions, uh, who really truly do want to destroy this country from the inside. So we're living in interesting times, as Confucius would say.
very much so. Very much so. And
I
I
would
think
like them to be a little less interesting because my workload just increases, it seems, every day.
every single minute of the day there's something being bombarded, so something's hitting the social medias or the newspapers, or you're getting messages on WhatsApp, or people are calling you, or you're getting DMs saying, have you seen this article, or do you know about this? And
All
it's
right.
constant. One thing that I haven't heard many people necessarily correlate was this crown something, that cyber
Oh, the
issue.
crowd strike.
Crowd strike, that was it.
Yeah, they struck. They struck all right.
Yeah, and it was
And
very
you know what?
akin. It was very
Listen.
ac- it was very akin to, for me at least, the Millennium Bug. Do you remember all of that and what
Oh
they
yeah.
they said would happen when
Right.
the clock struck? That was a
Right.
mirror
The
image
Y
in
two.
my
The Y two
the
K that never
Y2K.
happened.
Exactly. They
I
manif
believe that. I think that what happened there was practice and a drill.
exactly.
And what it did is it woke up people that are so into being a cashless society
Yes,
to
indeed.
realize that maybe it's not a good idea to be cashless.
Mm, yep.
Because if everybody truly believes, all right, Microsoft is a piece of crap product. I call it micro crap.
hmm
But if everybody believes that they took out the entire system around the world because of a computer patch
An update, Maria.
right, right, update, then I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
The story stunk from to high heaven. One of my excellent friends and journalist, Jack Blood, called me immediately. He said, "We predicted this 17 years ago." He said, "This is just a drill."
beta test.
Exactly.
Mm,
And what did they turn around and offer people? CrowdStrike, a $10 Uber Eats certificate.
yeah.
And when people got the $10 Uber Eats certificate, try to use it, they it didn't work.
Oh, wow.
So now they reneged on the offer. They took down everybody worldwide,
Yeah.
planes, banks, you name it.
Rail.
Okay.
There was so many different
And
industries.
they just said it was, an update that went bad.
And I'll tell you what, Maria, that another thing, I don't know if they're necessarily doing it in America, but in the UK, major like your Kroger's, that's a grocery store, I take it. That's a grocery store, isn't it?
Right, right,
Okay, so your major grocery stores, your big box ones, they've taken out two-thirds of the physical tills where people you'd see a woman or a man and you put the things on the conveyor belt and it would go along, they'd scan them, you'd pat them and go. They've taken two-thirds of them out now and replaced them with these automated machines where you have to do all of that yourself, scan and blah blah blah.
right,
So as a
right,
result of that, there was no footfall. People were there and they couldn't pay because there was not enough facility for cash to be spent. It was only for
right,
these bloody machines.
right. Well, here in America, a lot of the big chains that put those in are removing them because people were stealing so much. So when people would tell me, "Why don't you, get on the line where you ring your own stuff up?" And I'm like, "Do I get a discount? No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do I work here? No." And
Mm.
that's another American job lost. Why would I do that?
Big
And I'm
picture.
very loud when I'm out and about, so I make sure everybody hears my opinions.
Yes, because sometimes it takes an experience out and about. You never guess what, Sarah Jane. I was out shopping and there was this woman talking about she doesn't want to lose people's jobs. Working, going through these self-checkouts.
Right.
Well, she's
Well, I
got
get into long conversations with people online at the grocery store, wherever we are. I always look for a segue to slip
yes,
some truth in there.
this is it. And we need so
And
much more people
again,
like
it's
you.
not what you say, it's how you say it. If you're
Yeah,
going to be argumentative and get nasty with people, it's
yeah,
going to go nowhere. You
yeah.
have to find common ground and then expand from there.
Perfect. Perfect. And we need more people to enact that. There's so many people with all of this knowledge who have platforms, I guess, podcasts or whatever, and nothing's done. Once the end has been pressed or the stop live stream or end, that's it. They go back to ordering a DoorDash. They're not talking to their neighbor. They're not imparting any kind of information that would actually create the ripple effect is what we need. Is to, as I say, each one teach 12. It's our responsibility. If you've got some information that can help someone, why hold that to yourself? Why be
Well,
selfish?
let's not leave out, I don't know how bad it was in the UK, but we had a 2-year lockdown in the United States over the pandemic. So it made people more isolated.
Yes.
You wanted to go to the store, you had to stand 6 feet away, and they measured it on the floor. Okay, they
Yes.
would tape on the floor.
Hmm.
People were wearing masks, so you couldn't really connect with a person.
Indeed.
And I think that did more psychological damage than anything. Where it's taking a while for people to start to feel like they can even talk to other people.
Well,
But I think for a lot
language.
of people, that damage is permanent. And
It's
that
them.
was also deliberate.
Hmm. Hmm. It was. There's also a huge drop in infants being able to communicate, to articulate themselves during that period. Not many people have looked at.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they haven't been
Children
able.
in school, not being in school, they had no so they had problems now with sociability. Their
Yes.
grades dropped. They're dumber than they were before.
Yeah.
All of it's deliberate. And I certainly warned my audience not to take the shot.
But you know what?
Some listened not to take the jab,
Yes, yes,
and some listened, some didn't. Okay. I didn't take it. My doctor was like, "Do you want the shot?" And I said, "Only if it's tequila." Uh,
exactly.
and
With no worm, Maria. No
right,
worm.
with the worm, leave the worm for Bobby Kennedy. But um, the people just lined up, and that's very frightening
It
because
is.
that tells you they'll line up sheep to the slaughter.
Well, look, the most classical example that someone gave me in, I think it was 2002, was what do you think the Nazi officers were doing? They was just doing their job, right?
Right.
But were
Right, but
they
that
doing?
wasn't an excuse. A lot of them were still persecuted for doing their job, not the ones that should have, the
Indeed.
higher ups. I mean, they all came to America and started our
Yes.
CIA and started our nuclear
Yeah,
disaster plants. Uh,
exactly. Yes.
but
But
that's
that's,
no excuse.
of
Just
course
doing
it
your
isn't.
job is no excuse. My little town, a lot of nurses immediately quit. They refused. They
Yeah.
refused the shot and
Hmm.
they quit. And a lot of other nurses said that the only people they were treating in the hospital were people that had had the shot.
Of course. And it's coming out in main slash shame stream media now. All of the
Right.
effects of this of the zombie apocalypse
Oh
and their
yeah, I
rush.
report I report on those stories every news show.
They're coming thick and fast. Yeah,
Babies that are having heart attacks in the womb.
yeah, yeah.
And when they said it was safe for pregnant women, I said, "Oh my God." And all I could think of was back in my day when they said this drug thalidomide was safe for pregnant
Oh,
women. And
yes.
I, till today, haven't gotten over the pictures
Mm,
that I saw of those deformed,
I know.
uh, I don't even know if you could call them children. I don't know what they were that what women had to pass through their vagina.
And it makes me so angry the way that it's like it's almost like where the poor lab rats or monkeys or dogs
Right, right,
in being experimented on. Birmingham, UK, about 3 4 months ago, they tested for the first time an mRNA cancer treatment,
right.
like, and they made a big deal about it.
Well,
Oh,
you don't want anything with mRNA in it. So listen, I've been saying this since even before I was on radio. The only thing I trust governments to do is kill us all.
was it democide? That's called democide, right?
Well, yeah, it's crazy demon bastards. But when I was very lucky, I had really good parenting.
Hmm.
And one thing my father always impressed on us was to question everything. And then he would always add, especially authority.
Where did
And
that
I
come
have.
from?
I've questioned everything since I was a little girl.
Where
I
do you
guess
think?
it groomed me. I guess it groomed me for my show.
Mm, and he did an excellent job. Where do you think that for him came from? Was that his experiences here?
My father grew up in Europe. He spoke 6 languages. He came to America when he was 21.
Hmm.
So he was very, very smart. He was smarter than anybody I've even interviewed on my show till this date. And I've interviewed some brilliant people. And I often wonder, how did he know all this
Wow.
so many years in advance for anybody else to know it?
Yes.
Uh, but a lot of what he taught me, and also taught me about integrity, integrity, character, things that matter.
Mm. The real
Uh,
stuff.
right. You don't see that anymore. Like you said, parents will, come home, order something to eat. Kids go to their rooms, they're on their gadgets, and then that's it.
That's it. That's life. And that that
Right.
is
Well,
that
so they're
is
ripe for the picking. They're just ripe for
totally
the picking.
totally right for the picking. And you think these lazy so-called parents are putting parental controls or mirroring the devices so they can at least see what their so-called
No,
children.
well, no, they don't
Oh,
even do that.
oh
I mean,
no.
come on.
What they're
I
doing is they're competing and they're saying, okay, if you're dressing like that, I'm going to dress like that. If you're listening to that music, I'm going to listen to that music now because I've got
Well,
Arrested
because
Development.
Right. Well, growing old is a crime to a lot of these people.
It's alleged. It's alleged. I mean, I'm still 19, apparently.
Right. They don't know how to grow old gracefully. They don't know how to share their wisdom. In America, they very rarely respect or revere our elders.
It's across
And
the
yet
globe.
every elder, they say every senior that dies in America is a library lost.
Mm, hmm hmm
So I try to put out as much information as I can. Uh, at least I know I'm leaving some kind of, legacy or information behind for younger generations.
Yeah,
Uh,
a treasure trove of valid, articulated, insightful information. And why?
no, thank
I,
you.
and no, no. Look, I think, not I think, I know that we're on this plane of existence for a reason. We all
We're
have
here
different.
to we're here to experience. We're here
What?
to have joy. I
Of
mean,
course.
but people look around and tell me, where's the joy? Every day it's like, the media is out to browbeat you. And people work jobs they hate.
Yes.
People have, even young people, I just had this conversation with some of my friends. Um, good song, cool song comes on at the gym. Everybody over 50 will start moving around a little like they're
Yeah.
dancing.
Yeah.
But young people have lost the desire to even do that. They don't go out to clubs as much. They don't go dancing.
No.
The music is a lot of violence, a lot of sex and
Yes.
violence. They don't date anymore. They just hook up.
Yes.
It's just a whole dehumanizing of our youth.
Yes, indeed. Desensitization of sex, drugs, alcohol. Do what thou will be the whole law. The beast's rule is being manifested in the physical.
Exactly. It's like Planet of the Apes.
Yes. It's as I say, it's very, very interesting. And it's great to see that there are people, there are people still waking up. There are people slowly making
Yes,
their stirs and stuff. It's time. Everything has its reason and everything has its season. And
absolutely. I
it's
mean, here in America, people are waking up at the speed of light since Joe Biden stepped down.
mm,
Okay. The
I'm a
first three
dubious with that.
days, huh?
I'm
Excuse
I'm
me?
I'm still very dubious uh, politics in itself, when we come to this and across the plane of existence, it's always a two-party system. Birds have one central body and two wings.
Right.
I don't see, and I'm very cup overfloweth rather than cup being half full. I'm very positive, but I don't think these people, Kamala, she hasn't necessarily shown me. She showed me more than what Mr. Biden, etc., has shown me. But these are
Now,
figureheads. These are.
the comparison needs to be made
Mhm.
between Kamala and Trump.
Oh, but there's no.
Trump's
Well,
vision for America is going backwards to when black people had to drink out of a separate water
separate
fountain,
water,
when women were barefoot and pregnant.
yes, 13th
Uh,
Amendment citizens. I totally understand. I totally understand what you're saying.
right.
But what,
Her campaign is about moving forward into the future,
but
getting
these are,
our rights back, the
but
rights my generation fought for that have been
exactly.
stripped away.
Yes, totally stripped
And
away.
one thing that I do like, which I'm sure they're going to have many comments about, is she's going to appear on the RuPaul show. Okay. I don't know if you know who RuPaul is.
That's that geezer, the geezer. Oh,
RuPaul is probably the best transgender or cross dresser.
the drag
He's
artist
the
guy,
most
right?
beautiful drag queen I've ever seen. She is open to other people's sexualities, you know. Uh, the the GOP under Trump, it's okay for them to all be a bunch of, pedophiles and rapists, but they want everybody in the, a man and a woman in the church's position to have sex. To me, however, anybody wants to have sex is nobody else's business except
Oh,
that person.
of course, of course. That
And if it's consensual sex between two people, how does that affect me? It doesn't.
it doesn't, but I will say one thing. This rainbow flag gang, they're running amok, Maria. They're running
Well, I
amok.
I don't see them running amok in my country. I don't see that.
Well,
What I did see was a teenager who was a transsexual girl who was just stabbed 18 times at the Miami airport
but that's
just
unacceptable.
because she was transsexual.
That's totally unacceptable. And any kind
Right,
of violent crimes relating to your
right. Goes all the
sexuality,
way back
gender,
to
of
Matthew
course.
Shepard. Uh, you know, this kind of stuff is started up by the religious fanatics who forget that, Noah had to bang his own daughters. Uh, the kind of sexual deviancy that's in the Bible.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Noah banged his
Well,
own.
yeah, his daughters actually got him drunk one night to take advantage of him. Okay. You think about Adam and Eve, all they had were two sons. Well, how did everybody else come about?
Oh,
Okay.
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Right. And
okay.
then there's so much perversion and sexuality, slavery, all of that in the Bible. And that's
Bondsman.
where the very weak minded get their high and mighty ideas of what other people should do because they're not aware of history. They're not aware that homosexuality has always been with us, from ancient Rome to Greece to you name it. But if the Bible, which basically doesn't have much to say about homosexuality,
There is in Leviticus, it says if a man lays with a woman, he should be put to death, and a woman should
well, they
wear
also
what
said, listen, they also believed if you had sex when your wife had a period, you should be murdered. So,
stoned to
and you
death,
shouldn't eat
etc.
shrimp, you shouldn't have a beard, you shouldn't get tattooed.
Shouldn't
But
be
these
tattoos,
people,
shouldn't have shrimp, you shouldn't have pork, and nothing that divides. There's,
exactly,
but Maria,
exactly.
this thing. No, this is where we'll slightly diverge because I follow those principles in regards to the dietary laws. I don't eat pork, shrimp, anything that doesn't divide the
Hey, I'm a
population.
vegetarian, so you're talking to the right person.
There we go. I mean, I've been, it's a, as you know, being a meat eater and trying to transition into vegetarianism. It's a battle. It shouldn't be as hard as it is, but it is because I've been conditioned. I
Right.
have been conditioned to eat flesh, even though, as you said, as you brought up Adam and Eve, they weren't eating meat. They were
Well, only after
vegetarians.
they sin, only after they sinned.
Exactly. The sin is what made them start dealing with flesh,
Right.
etc., etc. Of course, you've
Ex-
studied, you know it.
Exactly. People want to be strong like a bull. Well, a bull is a vegetarian, it's an herbivore. All the big
Yes.
mammals are herbivores.
Herbivores.
So why not just eat what they eat?
Come
But I don't
on.
want to get into a whole preaching thing about being a vegetarian. That's my choice. I do it for the animals because I'm an
Mhm,
animal lover.
mhm.
And the way they treat animals in agribusiness is not something I'm okay with, and I won't support it.
Industrial farming is horrible. Watch Food Inc. And I always, anytime we mention this, I'll always go back to Food Inc. Because I think unless you can
Oh, yeah, it's a
provide
great movie.
another, it's excellent. I had no idea the pain and suffering those dairy cows have to go through.
Well, but think about that. You're eating that energy. Think
Like,
about it on an energetic level.
energetic, and it's in the blood. It's in the blood, then it goes into the meat, and then we're having. Oh, come on, I know.
Right. The fear, the pain,
Yeah,
the torture, all of that. And I think
anguish.
that that's why people are extra crazy and vicious.
Mm,
And I highly recommend everybody read the book, The World Peace Diet. I just had Will Tuttle back on my show this past week or so because he has a second book on it. Uh, but listen, it's everybody's choice. To me, I tell people you have two votes that count.
mhm,
You vote with your fork
mhm.
and you vote with your dollars.
Indeed. Very true. Very, very true. Do you think, on a most simplistic, I know I've said I'm kind of two-minded about this. For the populi, let's say, the people of America and the people of Great Britain, if we wanted a change, if we wanted to things to be equally yoked and the governmental system to actually do what it says on the tin, and actually we pay taxes to the government for the government to provide a certain level of services, infrastructure, etc., etc. How does it look like physically us making that change? Do we continue to vote people in? Do we do what the French Revolution and kill people in blood and then install a new kind of system? Or, as you said, the power that we have is non-compliance potentially, and the power of the dollar or the pound?
Exactly, non-compliance. You know, here in the United States after COVID, all the big corporations jacked their prices up on everything.
Mm,
Okay, just pure greed, no reason for it. And people must have thought, well, when the lockdown's over, everything will go back to normal, which it did not.
no.
Okay. So these greedy pigs are still jacking up their prices. But what happened, they have found now, a couple of big chains like Target and some other big stores, um, realized people weren't buying because people have no money to buy at, you know, double and triple the price. So they all reduced their prices, which they could have done all along.
Of
So, you
course.
know, years ago, I did a movement on my show to starve a corporation by shopping locally, mom and dad shops.
That's it. That's
You know,
it.
when you take your money away, they lose their power.
Of course. Of course.
You know, if you've got a farmer's market, shop there. You know, you got a little mom and pop store, a restaurant that's not part of a chain, eat there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, it's your dollar that matters, okay? They don't care about you as a human being. You could die as far as they're concerned, but it's your money they want. And the other thing, of course, is your fork. You're supporting this agribusiness. You're supporting this torture and whatnot by
Yeah.
what you choose to eat.
Yeah.
You're supporting burning down the rainforest so they can make more room for more cows for you to have a cheap hamburger at
Cheaper.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so it really is. It's a conscience thing. You know, in America, everybody loves their dogs.
Mm. And in England as
Uh,
well.
and Melanie Joy had a really good book out on, you know, you love your dog, but you'll eat a cow, something like that.
Mm.
Uh, when we look at China, where dogs are, you know, eaten regularly like any other animal, we're
Yes.
horrified.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
oh, what if somebody's eating a horse? You know, we have our favorite animals. But the
But
truth of the matter is, all living things have a right to have a life, to have their children around them,
yes.
not, you know, not be killed at 6 weeks because it's time for somebody to eat.
Mm.
Uh, I think that until people really get conscious and understand that we're dependent on all living things and
Yes.
respect life, there
Hmm.
is no respect for life, human or any other today. Nothing can change. It's a spiritual change that has to happen.
Very, very true. Very true. And to wind this down, 'cause I don't want to take up too much of your time, young lady. Um, on that note, spiritually wise, you don't necessarily align to any of the three Abrahamic faiths. So you believe in a creator force, I take it.
I believe I would say the closest of I could, I'm a spiritual person, but if I had to define what makes the most sense to me,
Hmm.
it's Native American spirituality, which is based on our interconnectedness and interdependence on all living things, respecting the earth, the plants, the trees, the animals, the bugs, this, that.
Yeah.
Living your life in a sacred manner from the minute you get up till the minute you go to bed.
Animism, would that be classed as?
What?
Animism?
No, it's just you know, that spiritualism. You know, I've
Mm.
studied with spiritualists as well. Uh, I believe that we are all part of God, as John
Yes.
Lennon did. That we come down here in different forms to express and to experience, and then we
Mm.
go back and we share tales with each other. Uh,
Reincarnation? Does that play a part in your?
I believe in reincarnation, but I believe reincarnation is a trap on this planet. The trick
Ah.
is when you're leaving to make sure you remember to never come back here.
Mm.
Because remember, energy never dies, energy transforms, and we are eternal. We are eternal consciousness.
Yes.
Right now, we're just living in a meat suit, okay, a little human body. But the part of our vast oversoul is out in the universe.
Mm.
You know, just a little portion of us is, you know, playing this little avatar in this very bizarre video game.
in this three-dimensional plane, most definitely. I always
Absolutely.
I can't verbalize what the energy, the essence, the soul, the ka. I can't verbalize where that goes after, but I know it's not going to be here. And I know based upon like the example and this in its most rudimentary form, a car doesn't drive itself. I don't care if it's got AI technology or not. Human
Right.
intervention has to take place. So a vehicle, take out the new technology in a normal combustion engine vehicle, you get in there as the soul, you turn the engine on, and then you
Right.
control that vehicle.
Right.
Energy
Or,
doesn't go.
and I like the way Native Americans would describe it. That when it's time to leave, they say it's time to lay the robe down.
Mm,
Because all our physicality here is just to be in this matrix, this holograph that we're all participating in,
yeah.
and then get the hell out of here and not come back. Go
And
find a better game board somewhere else.
it's gonna be so, I mean, I love where I am, but I can't wait to get to where the destination is. But I don't know what that destination is ultimately.
Well, I think that everybody, because I've done consultations and classes with so many people over the years, and no matter how much they accumulate materialistically or whatever on this planet, they always feel like there's something missing. They have a hole that can't be filled. And I've always believed that hole is knowing that this is not our home. And we all long to go home.
Mm, excellent. Excellent. Please throw out your websites and any other
Sure.
details you have, and I will make
I-
sure I put them below in the description.
Okay. Well, I'm on TikTok under my own name, Maria Heller, Meria.
Ah, I
I
will follow
like
you.
TikTok.
Yeah?
Love TikTok.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram on my real name. I'm not on Facebook under my real name because I've been kicked off too many times. I've been kicked off Twitter, so that's dead. But my website, my website is meria.net. But even if you misspell my name and spell it M-A, it'll still bring up pages and
Yes.
pages and pages that'll link.
Yes. As I introed a OG in regards to internet radio is what it was called back in the good old days.
Right, webcasting.
Redcasting, this is it. Or just even just casting. Um yeah, I'm thoroughly happy that we've still got people, boots on the ground, people who are consistently studying and putting the works out and still have integrity. Aren't saying every minute, yeah, so I'm just drinking my AG1 blend at the moment. This show is sponsored by Bet One. I understand people need to make money and stuff, and sponsorships might be, but it gets so
No, I have no
yeah,
sponsor on my show. My show is just supported by subscribers.
exactly.
I mean, it's $10 a month to subscribe. I'm sure everyone can afford that, and it'll give them access to 800 shows that I keep on my site with all this history and
Mm,
stuff you and I've been talking about.
exactly. So I know you have enjoyed the information that has been displayed. So click the links, support Maria, and as always, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, young lady.
Oh, me too. You take good care now, okay?
Most definitely.